guys, welcome back. So today we've got a bit of a challenging topic for us, but something we think will be, massively helpful to many of the audience watching these videos. We obviously all know that the one thing that can really hinder a player's performance from the tee box will be the slice.
Yes.
For most people.
It's got to be the most common ball flight that you'll see on a daily
absolutely,
basis.
And that's there's not too many drivers out there that are considered exclusive fade bias drivers, but there's a bunch that are considered exclusive draw bias drivers. There's a reason for that. There's a reason lie angles with woods have gotten more and more upright over the years. The slice has become harder to control, that type of thing. So we thought today we'd really try and kind of piece together a formula for you guys which would help you deal with that and help you navigate around some of the issues with why the slice occurs, some of the sort of maybe ways in which you guys try and help yourselves but end up doing more damage than good.
Yep.
That can often happen, and I see it all the time. Someone will walk in with a driver that they say, they bought it to try and help their slice, and it's actually made it worse.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So what basically happens in that scenario is the player that has the wild slice is generally a high spin player.
Yep.
Right. So you're swinging across your target line, having to hang on to the club face because the club face, the target is generally, for you, Matthew, you're going to be swinging to the right. Target is to your left. You're going to hang on to your club face.
Yep.
That type of thing. For the right-handed player, swinging to the left, having to hang the face on because your target is to the right of your path.
Of course, yeah.
You have to, and in order to do that, invariably you're going to add dynamic loft.
Right.
You're going to have a bit of a mishit. All those things can kick up the spin. So often this type of player will gravitate towards a low spin driver.
Right.
Thinking that is the remedy towards helping them drive it better because of the excess spin that they have because they're a slicer.
So they've gone and gotten something like Rogue Sub-Zero.
Correct.
And it's a low spin driver. They think it's going to help.
They think that will help their driving. That will really bring the spin down. And often that actually makes it worse because all that low spin driver does is moves the CG further forward. We know when we lower the spin, we can often create even more curvature. True. So really the objective shouldn't be just to try and bring the spin rate down. Your objective is trying to match up the face to the path.
Okay.
Try to realign those two parameters rather than actually trying to physically change the properties of the driver.
So delivering, if your path is going sideways relative to the target, at least have that club face in line with that path.
For sure.
Versus being open.
That's exactly it. So the more you can control that face to path discrepancy, the more control you'll gain over your ball flight.
Gotcha.
The more control you'll gain over dynamic loft, more control you'll gain over strike point. All the things that influence the ball and towards doing the right thing. So that's why for me, a lot of the time, I'll go to a head that actually has, by sort of design, it is not lower spin, but it produces significantly lower spin because the face closes over more.
Okay.
Right?
So just by being way open, you're automatically going to be spinning it way more.
You have to. It doesn't matter how low your driver head is, in terms of design features. It doesn't matter how far forward the CG is. If the face is wide open, you're going to spin it.
Of course, yeah.
So, but if we can get that head to sort of realign closer to the path, in an ideal world, not exactly, but generally speaking, if we can keep the face between the path and the target.
Okay.
So if
angle?
we can be 8 degrees out to in.
Right.
As long as that face is, 4 degrees open to the path, but 4 degrees closed to the target.
Gotcha.
We'll generally hit a fairly safe shot that will finish kind of on target.
Right.
It's not an exact science, and there's a few other things kind of go into that, but general rule of thumb is, try and keep it between the two and you'll be okay.
Right. I mean, there's so many people that hit a slice.
Right.
I think this is the question that I'm going to get ahead of because I know what people are going to say. You can't really fix your slice. You need to go get lessons or you need to address it. But here's the reality. Most people are not going for lessons.
That's it.
90% of people aren't going for lessons?
That is, you're 1000% right when you say that. So the reality is we can probably help as many people by, doing a video addressing this topic as people will do by going to get lessons. Of course, we always advocate better mechanics.
For sure.
But until you get there, how about we help you enjoy the game a little bit more?
That's the thing. And you may have no intention of getting lessons.
Absolutely.
You may not have time, money, interest, whatever the answer is. You're not going.
You may have had lessons and you just find you have bad results.
Yep.
You know, you've not been able to implement, you know, the sort of advice you've had from the pros.
For sure, yeah.
And you know, the reality is, not bashing anyone, but you know, sometimes, you know, you maybe don't get the right advice.
Absolutely.
The reality is, you know, you're not always going to get the best advice for your issues.
Yeah. So you just want to go play golf. You don't want to hit everything with a slice. So the question that people ask is, can I cure my slice with a driver?
Right.
And I think what we're going to try today is to show maybe a setup that people could duplicate if they go for a fitting or they go to a shop.
Yeah.
What is the type of thing you could do to make as an extreme, I guess, an adjustment to your ball flight, short of actually changing your golf swing, right?
And we've kind of gave the punchline away a little bit with regards to how we're going to go about that.
Right.
It's taken, and we've just grabbed a driver, you know, that has those low spin tendencies, you know, Rogue Sub-Zero, and this is the type of driver somebody would walk into here with, you know, every other day and go, yeah, I tried to get this to cure my slice and bring that spin rate down, but it's not really worked. Now I'm missing it the other, you know, missing it by more. On the other side of the fairway. So we're going to test it. We're going to try and basically get Matt to set up with very much fade delivery conditions, and we'll see what ball flight we can get off that.
Yeah. And
then we'll go to work as we would in a fit and see what we can do.
Yeah, we'll essentially start with a ball that's going to curve too much left, away from where the target should be. We'll use the flag, obviously. And then you're not necessarily, would you say, changing the amount of curvature? You're more changing where the curvature ends. Is that somewhat the goal?
Yeah, I mean, that can often be the case. That you know, I see this all the time. Actually, that's a really good point. Sometimes it cannot be. It won't always be the amount of curvature.
Right.
It can often be the start line.
Yeah, the start line.
So
Exactly.
you know, obviously the face angle is going to have the biggest influence on the initial direction of the golf ball.
Right.
So if our face alignment is off, then we're never going to be able to keep the ball in play. For that slicer, they have to start it on the same side of the fairway as their club path in that direction is going.
I mean, we've all played with the guy who essentially curves the ball the same amount on every single swing. And as soon as the ball takes off, you know if it's going to be good or not. Because did it start kind of left of target and slice back, or did he kind of push it and then slice it? That's when you get into trouble.
Definitely.
Okay, so let's get some baselines with this.
We'll do some testing with this, and then we'll see what the numbers are like, and then we'll make some adjustments.
Okay. So we're hitting some slices.
Okay, so we're looking for about, let's try and work to that number, Matt. Let's work to that 8 degrees.
8 degrees.
Out to in.
Do you find that generally someone with a slice is a bit negative with the angle of attack? Or is it vary?
They are often, or
at least level-ish?
Yeah, definitely. They're, unless they have sort of good feel for sort of being able to manipulate their body to kind of hang back a little bit. Yeah, generally speaking, they'll be a little down on it.
So we're going to try to be as kind of average as we can.
You're probably, Matt, trying to get that start line somewhere on the mouse there.
Okay.
All right, Matty, let's see a couple. So we've kind of got your swing where you're a little out to in, we're going to be a little more down on it. We're going to try and replicate the strike of somebody who struggles with that slice, which generally is quite heel side.
On the heel side.
Because the other thing is as well, at times we can see people who are out to in and hit it awfully straight.
Yep.
Because they hit it toe side.
I actually play with someone who will occasionally hit what looks like a draw.
Yeah.
With a very over-the-top swing because he'll strike it on the toe.
Because the gear effect will cancel out the swing delivery.
Right.
I mean, that's why quad is so useful for us, because it explains so much of what's going on. If you were in a driving range and you were eyeballing someone's flight and you weren't able to sort of pick out strike point, and somebody just was hitting lasers, you might not know the true kind of ingredients towards that straight shot. Okay, so, I mean, significantly right to left. Interesting. Spin is definitely down. You know, it would be the objective of that player, you know, to pick this driver to eliminate spin, but in actual fact, it's increasing the spin axis tilt. We've got that spin axis, you know, 30 degrees left.
Right. So it made it worse by getting a low spin driver.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we're just not controlling our face to path relationship. If we look on the average here, you know, face to path is 5 degrees open.
Right.
So, you know, relative to your target, Matty, you're basal at 0.2, which is nothing, which, as we said earlier on in the intro, that means you're starting the ball at your target.
And then slicing.
Then it's slicing away to the offside. Right. So you're not able to start this down the right-hand side and fade it back to the target. So it's not an effective fade.
Right.
We see enough people play golf with an effective fade, which would be to start it down, in your case, the right-hand side.
So something between 5 and 7 out to in is kind of where we've been?
Yeah, that's the general kind of, you know...
That's the zone?
Delivery of somebody who's got a bit of a kind of troublesome slice.
Okay, so let's start to chip away at this and see what we can do.
Yeah, let's see if we can put together some compensations here, and you know, we can really start to kind of you know, get this dispersion circle, get it way down there and start controlling the ball. Okay. All right, Matty, so we've given you something that hopefully should produce some different results here. Like we said, the biggest thing that's going to influence the shape of your shot and start it more down the right-hand side is going to be the face closing more. Right. So we start to match up that face to path. We start to bring down that 5 degree open face to path relationship. Turn that into 2. Right. You know, I'd love to be starting down the right-hand side, just bleeding back to the target. We've actually given you more loft in order to do that. Yeah. So we've went 9.5. TaylorMade M4, we found that to be really effective for people who have a bit of a slice. It's very draw by. It's a lot of weight in the heel section of that driver.
The D-type model, right?
Yep. Okay. So we've went 9.5, closed it with our Club Connects 1 degree, which turns it up to 10, changes loft by half a degree.
Gotcha.
So let's hit some shots. We've kept the shaft the same.
Okay. So we're just focusing on what can be done, because essentially the slice is mostly going to be a problem because of the face angle. Yes. So we're tackling the face angle.
That's right. That's the biggest thing we're influencing here is the face to path relationship, and you know, hopefully getting that message across to the viewers that, you know, that's your biggest obstacle if you have a bit of a vicious slice, is that discrepancy.
Gotcha. Okay. Certainly did not curve as much.
Not as much, yeah.
How do we do there? That's better.
Pretty good.
So even with quite a severe path, 7.5. That's very different. So that path to me felt quite a bit across like the other ones.
Okay.
We'll see how we did.
Yeah, still 6 out to in, just corrected the face a little bit more.
So how much more closed of a club face is that versus where we were with the other one?
So that was pretty close to being right between path and target.
Okay, so that's what you were talking about,
right? That was exactly what we're talking about.
Around 3 for a 6 out to in.
Yep. And like we said, just when we were kind of building this one up, Matty, just raise the spin a little bit just to stabilize the ball. And, you know, we saw that spin axis tilt around 30 before. So at 10, obviously, we're not going to have much of an issue. So the face was closed to the target, which got the right start line. Right. And then the spin axis was tilted just enough just to bring it back online, but not too much.
To me, that shot is a good example of as good as you can do with that swing path.
Pretty close.
Right?
Pretty darn close, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely coming through a little bit less open, isn't it?
There should definitely be less sort of, you know, pressure on your swing, Matty, in order to keep this one online. That was a slight toe strike, and that's right there where we can actually, let's look at that, and I'm curious about that. We had the face, it was pretty much matched up to the path, to be fair. It was a little bit closed there, but toe strike as well actually gave us a fractional draw.
Huh. Well, that's the shot where you think you're hitting a draw.
That's right.
Even though your path is.
We see that all the time. People think they're hitting a draw based on where they strike it.
And that's not that one was not a draw. It's just a pull off the toe, right?
Yeah.
That, I think, will be very similar to the other one we hit. Again, path felt very extreme, but it just seems to be starting more to the right. And you kind of feel the ball get more compressed.
Yeah, that's it. You feel the square contact because you're able to square the face up. That's when people talk about that compression, I mean, look at that. So reality is, this is excellent. Looking at the ball speed being the same, the launch and spin basically the same. You've picked up 25 in the air based on obviously squaring up the face to path relationship.
Really, yeah.
So
very similar strike too.
Yeah, very similar strike wise. If anything, you've hit the TaylorMade slightly more heel side.
Huh.
So all we've done is really just change the face angle. I mean, guys, I wish we could have done this as a live video.
I know. Well, I mean, you may not believe it, but this is essentially a live video. We're not exactly editing this one, so.
I'd love it if this one was people were seeing this as it happened, because looking at dynamic loft, speed, dynamic lie, path.
It's quite amazing, yeah.
I mean, you've literally done everything the same. In fact, your delivery is more extreme with the TaylorMade. You're more down and you're more out to in.
And still hitting it straighter from the face angle.
Significantly more, significantly straighter, because you now have a club face that matches your path. And that's how you're able to really control your ball flight. So, the discrepancy is so minimal now.
I think it's a big key. I think that a lot of people will understand to some degree that a face angle change is key. Yeah. I do think there's a misconception that a draw-weighted driver somehow alters the path of your swing.
Right, okay.
I do think people often will ask that. Is the weighting changing how the club comes through? Right. And it's really what you said to me earlier made a lot of sense. The draw weight being here is helping the face just through, it's like a
rate of closure.
Rate of closure, as you said, just getting the face to do that more.
That's right.
Plus the face is already a little bit more closed.
Yeah.
So you're naturally going to strike the ball with a more closed face.
Definitely.
That's all it is.
We're taking what you've got and we're fixing the easiest variable to fix.
Yeah.
Quite hard for us to change your path. Quite hard. And then if you've got clubs, sometimes we talk about it with the irons. If you get someone, especially a tall player, who's using maybe clubs that are too light for them, and address they're using clubs that are a bit short, so the shaft stands up a little bit, and the club's a bit light, and it's quite easy for them to kind of throw it over the top.
Of course, yeah.
Then you get them the right length, so the shaft angle sits a little bit flatter. They're able to swing around their body a little bit more, and the weight can keep the club behind them for longer. Then they get a feel for what it's like to release. That can be sometimes, where we can influence path a little bit, but that's a very, different scenario.
But still, that you're alluding to something that you could do.
You could do, yeah, and if we see that set of circumstances, we have a fix for that. It's the same as this, we saw you deliver the club a certain way, a little bit steep, a little bit across it. We just, with the Rogue Sub-Zero, it's not designed to rotate for a player with those. Delivery parameters, yet we get you something like this, give you an additional degree of loft, a face that closes more so it matches up from a face to path relationship. All of a sudden you can have a more than acceptable flight. You pick up 25 yards in the air on average. We're not talking about everyone.
No.
But over the course of around a week, a month, and a season,
it's tons.
You better believe that that's going to make an improvement to your game.
Yeah, and even the one that it really was just one that was more of a overfade was in play with this drive.
27 yards, I think, offline it was.
Yeah, that's in play everywhere.
100%. If you're a typical slicer, you're aiming down the right-hand side 100%. To try to get that ball to fade in. So
you're starting it there.
The chances are you're probably still catching a piece of the fairway with that.
Yeah, versus where we hit the neutral one with the CG forward, we hit a couple 75 yards.
75 and 80 yards. I mean, probably, you know,
gone.
Yeah, in a bush.
Gone at any golf course I've ever been to.
In another fairway, something like that. So, guys, the best thing you could do for that is definitely control the club face.
100%. I think that, from a lesson perspective, a lot of people make that discovery by being told to grip the club stronger, which naturally brings the club in, more close. Right. But it's different, I think, when you go on the course. You may not grip it the same every time if you're trying to change your grip. Yeah. This, for me, if I'm swinging that way, there's no way that I won't have the club more square, aside from me, like physically trying to keep the club open. You're going to deliver it more square.
Without doubt. I mean, looking at the rate of closure there, just to touch on that rate of closure. Okay. 2266, 3049. So, we are certainly getting that head to rotate at a faster rate.
So that, it's confusing enough for me, but that's basically just a measurement of how quickly the club is doing that. It's a measurement of speed.
The heel is heavier, the toe is lighter, the club is rotating faster. So that's how we're able to match up. There's nothing else going on. We've not asked Matt to do anything else, and we're doing nothing but showing you exactly what happens when you go away from, and we're using the extreme of extremes here. We're using a head that we knew would hang open. For sure. Because the CG's pushed forward, versus one that is back and in the heel. We know that club closes over. We absolutely know it's exactly what it's designed to do from an engineering standpoint. For sure. Exactly it. But this hopefully will help a lot of people towards putting a fix on a really troublesome problem.
For sure. And if you see that number, I mean, that's a foresight measurement, the rate of closure. If you have access to it, that would be interesting for someone if they had a weighted driver and they still weren't squaring the face. Yeah. Something like that, being aware of your path, being aware of your face to path and your closure rate. You come in and that number is really low.
And that's the thing, if somebody is using we'll probably get some comments. I'm using a draw bias driver, but I'm not seeing the results. Okay, so let's look at it from another standpoint then. What are some of the other variables we've got going on? Is the shaft too weak? Right. Is it working, out of deflection? I mean, we know that IZ is a shaft that you time really well. So, we were already taking that one variable out of the equation. We know you do well with that. Yeah. From a speed perspective, it was good for you, et cetera, et cetera. So we were just isolating the rotation of the head.
If you've gone and let's say someone bought a driver off the rack, you should still probably go in for a fit session on a quad or something.
Absolutely, you can be retrofitted to that driver. Yeah. Often what we will do, start with low loft, close the head, and we know we're going to add loft, but at the end of the day, like we said, a square face versus an open face will always deliver less loft. So it's loft in motion that counts.
It's so true,
not
because
static loft. Don't worry about what the static loft is.
To get the same launch angle out of way more loft is crazy. Because you were able to, we know it was delivering less loft despite having way more loft.
And the dynamic loft, if we look at it, was the same. The delivered loft, even though we had 9-degree sub-zero versus this was plain 10 degrees on the M4. Right. We know that's all to do with the face being square versus the face being open.
Very good.
Yeah. Well, hopefully this is informative.
For sure. I think it's. Hopefully people are watching with the intention of. I think it's the basics of kind of tackling your slice. Right. Yeah. But what you mentioned about that, the low spin driver, I think a lot of people go that route.
I see it all the time.
You got to look at face angle.
All the time.
You'd say face angle is number one. You got to. It
has to be. You got to square that up first, then worry about the launch conditions. Right. Let's find a fairway, then we'll make it go far. Exactly. Let's not try and get that one the wrong way around. Yep. We got to get the ball first and foremost in play. Then let's do what we can do to optimize it once it's there.
Awesome. That's great stuff.
Yeah, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. This was certainly one that we thought would add some significant value to you guys, especially the ones out there that are just plagued with the the slice. So hopefully this has answered a few questions with that, and we'll see you again soon.